Darius Kane's first thought when he woke up was that his skull had been replaced with a malfunctioning reactor core. His second thought was that someone was in his apartment, someone who definitely wasn't supposed to be there. A dull, crimson glow flickered from the far corner of the room, illuminating the silhouette of a tall, slender woman. She stood with an eerie stillness, her long ears twitching slightly, as if listening to something beyond his range of perception. Darius groaned and rolled onto his side, clutching his forehead. His mouth tasted like synthetic whiskey and regret. "Look, if you're here to kill me, at least let me get a cup of coffee first." The woman chuckled, a low velvety sound that sent a shiver down his spine. "Oh, love, you've always been dramatic." His body went rigid. That voice, there was something unsettlingly familiar about it, something that curled around the edges of his mind, like an old song half remembered. He forced himself upright, squinting through the dim light. The woman stepped forward. The neon blue glow from his hollow clock illuminated her face, a face too perfect, too sharp, as if sculpted by an artist who didn't believe in imperfections. Her crimson eyes gleamed with a knowing amusement. And then there were the ears, long, elegant, and slightly pointed, twitching in a way that was distinctly not human. Darius blinked. "Well, either I'm still drunk, or I just woke up in the wrong genre of my life." She smirked. "You always did use humor as a defense mechanism." He ran a hand through his messy black hair, trying to piece together how this situation could possibly make sense. "Okay, lady, mind telling me why you broke into my apartment? Or are we skipping straight to the murder part?" She tilted her head, the movement eerily fluid, almost predatory. "Darius," she said softly, taking a step closer. "I'm your wife." Silence. Darius stared at her, brain short-circuiting. Then he laughed, a dry, incredulous laugh that echoed through the cramped apartment. "Right. And I'm the Emperor of Jupiter. Lady, I don't even have a girlfriend, let alone a—" He stopped mid-sentence as a thought struck him like a meteor to the face. His gaze snapped back to hers. "Wait, did I get married while I was drunk?" A single, elegant brow arched. "No, love. We've been married for years." Darius stared at her again, this time with genuine unease creeping into his veins. "Okay," he said, lifting a finger. "Let's break this down. 1, I have no memory of you. 2, you have vampire eyes and alien ears. And 3, did I mention I have no memory of you?" She sighed, folding her arms. "That's because your memories were stolen by Lord Zyros." Darius frowned. "That sounds made up." "It's not. It definitely sounds made up." Vilara, because that was apparently her name, let out a long-suffering sigh, as if she'd been through this before. She reached into the folds of her sleek, dark coat and pulled out a small, smooth device. It hummed to life in her palm, projecting a holographic image into the air. Darius squinted at the flickering display. It was a video, and not just any video. It was him, standing beside her. His breath caught. In the recording, he looked different, younger maybe. His usual scruffy look had been replaced by something more refined, his dark hair neatly combed back, his eyes sharper, more determined. He was wearing some kind of high-tech armor, and his arm was slung casually around Valara's shoulders as she smirked at him. They looked happy. Darius swallowed. "Okay, that's some impressive hollow editing." Valara gave him a flat look. "It's not fake. Look, lady, Valara, whatever. If I was actually married to a space vampire, don't you think I'd remember that?" "You would," she admitted, "if Zyros hadn't erased everything." He rubbed his temples. "Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, that this isn't some elaborate prank. What does this Lord Zyros guy want with me?" Before Valara could answer, a low, rhythmic beeping filled the room. Darius stiffened. That was his security system. Valara's expression darkened. "They found us." "Who found us?" "The bounty hunters." Darius groaned. "Of course I have bounty hunters after me. Why wouldn't I?" The walls of his apartment trembled as something heavy slammed against the outer corridor. A voice crackled through a speaker. "Come out quietly, Kane, and we won't turn your bones into spare parts." Darius exhaled through his nose. Charming. Valara reached into her coat and pulled out a sleek, alien-looking weapon. "Stay behind me." Yeah, no offense, but I'm not really the stay behind type. She shot him a sideways glance. Oh, I know. With a deafening blast, the apartment door exploded inward. Smoke and debris filled the air as figures in heavy armor stormed inside. Valara moved faster than Darius could register, her body a blur as she launched herself at the nearest attacker. Darius ducked as a plasma bolt barely missed his head. He scrambled behind his couch, yanking open the compartment where he kept his blaster, because even a washed-up ex-pilot like him wasn't dumb enough to live on Mars Colony Delta 4 unarmed. Valara, I hope you have a plan, he yelled over the chaos. She twisted midair, slamming a boot into a bounty hunter's helmet, sending them crashing into the wall. Yes, she called back. Step 1, survive. Step 2, run. Step 3, steal a ship. Darius fired a shot, hitting one of the mercs in the knee. I like step 3. Valara grabbed him by the wrist and yanked him toward the blown-out window. Then let's go. Darius took one look at the 5-story drop. Yeah, no. Valara didn't give him a choice. With a smirk, she wrapped an arm around his waist and jumped. Darius screamed all the way down. Darius had never really considered the aerodynamics of being thrown out of a 5th-story window by a vampire woman who claimed to be his wife. Now, as he plummeted toward the neon-lit streets of Mars Colony Delta 4, it occurred to him that this was a significant oversight. This is a terrible plan, he yelled. Valara, who had somehow managed to look graceful midair, just grinned. You used to love this. Pretty sure I didn't. The wind roared around them as they fell, and Darius caught a brief glimpse of the bounty hunters above, leaning over the shattered remains of his apartment window. One of them aimed a plasma rifle at him. Oh, come on! Before he could finish cursing his luck, Valara twisted in midair and yanked him toward a hovering cargo drone passing beneath them. The metal platform wasn't exactly designed to catch falling idiots, but it was better than splattering across the street like a bad mural. They hit the drone hard, rolling across its surface as the vehicle wobbled from the sudden impact. Darius groaned, staring up at the Martian night sky, dotted with smog-covered stars and floating holograms, advertising everything from cybernetic limb replacements to genetically modified houseplants. That was awful, he muttered. Valara sat up, completely unbothered. You'll get used to it again. Again? Darius rolled onto his side, glaring at her. Are you telling me this was a regular occurrence in our so-called marriage? Valara grinned, flashing just the hint of fangs. You always enjoyed the excitement. Darius groaned. Sounds like past me had brain damage. A plasma bolt whizzed past them, frying a nearby billboard that had been advertising something called spicy space noodles, now with 50% more heat death. Less talking, more running, Valara said. Darius peeked over the edge of the drone. The bounty hunters had already recovered and were pursuing them on sleek black hoverbikes, their weapons glowing menacingly. Great, Darius muttered. Why is it never tax collectors chasing me? Because you never paid taxes, Valara said, yanking him up by his arm. Fair point. The drone wobbled as more plasma fire struck it, sending sparks flying. Valara grabbed his wrist and sprinted toward the edge. Jump, she commanded. Darius let out a strangled laugh. You know what? No, I just jumped out of a window. I'm done jumping. Suit yourself, Valara said cheerfully, right before she shoved him off the drone. Darius screamed, flailing wildly as they dropped onto the roof of a passing hover truck. He landed hard, rolling across the metallic surface and nearly toppling over the edge. Valara, meanwhile, landed with the elegance of a cat and casually stretched, like this was a routine Tuesday. You have to stop doing that, Darius wheezed. Valara helped him up. Then start jumping on your own. Darius swayed slightly, staring at her. Are you enjoying this? She tilted her head, ears twitching slightly. A little. Before Darius could come up with an appropriately dramatic complaint, the bounty hunters accelerated toward them, their hover bikes cutting through the air like sleek black knives. The leader, a heavily armored brute with cybernetic arms, barked a command into his comms. Target secured. Lord Zyros wants him alive. Darius felt a chill crawl up his spine. There was that name again. Zeros, the supposed memory-stealing warlord who had apparently deleted an entire marriage from his brain. Before he could process the implications, Valara reached into her coat and pulled out a sleek, metallic device. She pressed a button, and the air around them rippled. Darius barely had time to react before a ship decloaked above them. A sleek, gunmetal gray spacecraft with a design that screamed stolen military tech. "Is that ours?" Darius asked, eyes wide. "It is now," Valara said, grabbing him by the waist. Before he could protest the sudden invasion of personal space, she launched them off the truck with a powerful leap, landing smoothly on the ship's open boarding ramp. Darius, on the other hand, flopped onto the floor like a dying fish. Valara hit a control panel, and the ramp closed behind them as the ship's engines roared to life. The bounty hunters opened fire, plasma bolts slamming against the ship's shields, but Valara was already sprinting toward the cockpit. Darius groaned, dragging himself to his feet. "I hate everything about this day." "You'll survive," Valara called over her shoulder. Not the ringing endorsement I was hoping for. By the time he stumbled into the cockpit, Valara was already flipping switches and bringing the ship online. The control panels flickered to life, filling the space with an eerie blue glow. Darius plopped into the co-pilot's seat, still catching his breath. "So, do you actually know how to fly this thing?" Valara gave him a sideways look. "Do you?" Darius hesitated. "Oh, no." "Then don't question me," she said sweetly, yanking the control stick. The ship shot forward like a bullet, leaving the bounty hunters scrambling to follow. Darius gripped the edges of his seat. "Can we not do the reckless flying thing?" Valara smirked. "You used to be a pilot, love. You should feel at home." Darius glared at her. "I also used to have memories. Let's focus on now." The ship swerved sharply through the maze of neon-lit skyscrapers, dodging between cargo freighters and high-speed transit lines. The bounty hunters followed in tight formation, their hoverbikes weaving through the city like predatory drones. "All right, hotshot," Darius said, scanning the control panels. "Any idea how we lose these guys?" Valara didn't answer immediately. Her eyes flickered with something sharp and calculating. "I have an idea," she said finally, "but you're not going to like it." Darius exhaled through his nose. "Valara, I have already been thrown out of a window today. It can't get worse." Valara smiled. "We'll see about that." And with that, she turned the ship upward, directly toward the towering skyline. Darius's stomach lurched. "Oh, no, no, no!" The bounty hunters followed, accelerating to match their climb. The ship shot past skyscrapers, past the upper levels of the colony, heading straight for the massive, glowing energy dome that separated Mars Colony Delta 4 from the cold, suffocating void of space. Darius' eyes widened. "Wait, are we—" Valara grinned. "Yes!" The bounty hunters realized a second too late. Valara yanked the ship through the dome's emergency maintenance gap, something only someone with very illegal access codes could do. The bounty hunters, however, were not so lucky. Their hoverbikes slammed against the energy barrier like bugs on a windshield. Darius slumped in his seat, gasping. "I hate you," Valara smirked. "You'll get over it." As the ship sped into the darkness of space, Darius let out a long, exhausted sigh. He had a feeling things were only going to get worse. Darius had a rule about space travel, and it was a very simple one. Never fly into open space with someone who just threw you out of a window. Yet here he was, strapped into the co-pilot seat of a stolen starship, speeding away from Mars Colony Delta 4 with an alien vampire woman who claimed to be his wife. The universe, he decided, had a really messed up sense of humor. He exhaled and rubbed his face. "All right, let's start with the basics. Where exactly are we going?" Valara, who had taken the pilot's seat with all the confidence of someone who either knew what they were doing or was very good at pretending, tapped a few glowing controls. "Somewhere safe." Darius gave her a flat look. "See, I don't love how vague that is." She smirked without looking at him. "It's a habit. You used to tell me you found my mysterious nature alluring." Darius scoffed. "Yeah? Well, current me finds it annoying." Valara chuckled but didn't answer. Instead, she reached for a lever above her head. "We're making a jump to FTL. Hold on. Hold on to—" The ship lurched as it shot into faster-than-light speed. Darius was immediately flattened against his seat as stars outside stretched into impossibly long streaks of white. His stomach twisted like someone had just decided to rearrange all his organs for fun. He groaned.